Hey guys, it's Vanessa James welcoming you back to another episode of Café Mocha2go. I am so excited about having my next guest on, who is a friend, colleague, and just an all-around amazing on-air host and culturist and on-air personality, and of course, social influencer and activist, Mr. Jawn Murray. Welcome to Café Mocha2go.
Thank you, Vanessa. And listen, if the USPS can make sure we get the mail right, the check is in the mail for that wonderful introduction.
Ow! Thank you so much. I think they can. So Murray, listen, I know we are tight on time, but I have so much to touch bases with you about. We have the most consequential election of our lifetime, less than, a month away. And I feel like, I know it's not just me who feels like we need to be sounding the alarm to people that are quote unquote on the fence. 70% of the electorate votes here in Florida where I am, and 30% just don't even vote. We pulled, the stats on that. And that's kind of what we see, as a pattern around the country. So I really wanted to touch bases with you about the temperature where you are. And do you feel like this year people finally get it about it being so important to go out and exercise their right to vote, not just for the presidential election, but also for all of the local races? We're seeing how they're stacking the courts. We're seeing how these judgeships are so important. City commissioners, county commissioners, the mayors. Break it down for me.
Listen, there's this Russian propaganda all over social media. And a lot of times we start to regurgitate that stuff, that there's no enthusiastic response to this election, that enthusiasm for Joe Biden is low, which is, then going to cause a trickle effect for the other elections.
Sure.
And I think, and if I can quote Joe Biden, that's a bunch of malarkey.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
And we have to be intentional about making sure that we're not regurgitating the propaganda that was used against particularly people of color in 2016 to keep us from voting and to make us stay home. I believe more than ever, people are definitely enthusiastic about this election. They're enthusiastic about Joe Biden, and his record-breaking fundraising numbers are very indicative of that. There's a New York Times article that just came out that talked about the record-breaking fundraising and the heightened level of enthusiasm. And here's the thing. One of the main issues for Americans right now is surviving this pandemic. Right. And so whereas people of color have been impacted, our Black and Brown, our Latinx community has been impacted tremendously by this. Think about all the frontline workers, the healthcare professionals who have not only just seen the impact of this from watching the news, but they've seen people die without their family members in hospitals. They've had to put them on FaceTime for their last words and wishes. They've had their colleagues and their peers die. Frontline workers understand the mismanagement of a pandemic more than anybody because they've had a front row seat to it. Think about all the Asian community that's been typically a very low voting body, but they've been targeted with all this racist rhetoric, Wuhan virus, China virus. That's why young Asian kids and young fans of K-pop galvanized on TikTok to sabotage the Trump Tulsa rally. They wanted you to know that we're not our parents. We're not our grandparents. We're active. We're voting, and we stand against this injustice that's happening in this country. But there's also a voting body that we don't factor in. Right. This is a voting body that also has contributed to the record-breaking fundraising numbers that Joe Biden has, and it's the business person.
Me.
Now, a lot of business people, I'm not talking about the small business owners, but I'm talking about those big business people that tend to vote Republican because they're always trying to find a way to get tax breaks. And a lot of them voted for Donald Trump solely based on the single issue of getting a tax break. So they went from getting a Trump tax cut to being damn near bankrupt, all because of the mismanagement of this coronavirus. And so a lot of their businesses are filing for bankruptcy. A lot of them cannot open or can't open at full capacity. And so they too want a sense of normalcy back in this country, and we're not going to get it from a man who knows that a virus is serious but calls the whole thing a hoax.
Absolutely, John. So touching on and diving a little bit deeper on the details on that, why do you think then, John, the GOP has become so good at fear-mongering and motivating their voters to the polls just based on fear? If you look at Fox News, just as an example,
government-run television,
Fox News, But I think it's that 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock block on Fox News that just seems like it's just taken over by a completely different animal, right? It's like almost like the producers just switch out after 7 o'clock on Fox, you know, where it's completely unfair and unbalanced.
I must say, though, even during the day parts, even though there are several very good journalists there, if you pay close enough attention, there is rhetoric, racism, racially insensitive information thread all throughout that channel.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, it seems like their base, they've clearly understood, is motivated by fear. And if you look at it even for 10 minutes, you see Portland riots, Seattle this, New York this, don't vote because, and it's telling you, yeah, vote for Trump, but I also see an undertone of stay home as well. So let's talk about the voter suppression that we kind of see, even if it's subliminally, that's happening around the country. Here where I am in South Florida, I'm sure that you have heard the news, it's national news, that our governor blocked the people's choice of 67% in the 2016 election to let felons who have served their time go to the polls and vote. Bloomberg had to come in and pay off the quote unquote poll tax in order for them to be able to
$1 worth of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So suppression is happening all around this country. Let's touch on it.
Well, that's one of the things I think we have to make sure that we are reminding people. Voting is so important and it's so powerful that people are trying to do illegal things. They're trying to suppress you. They're trying to put out all the stops possible to keep you from voting because they realize that there's power there. If there wasn't any power there, nobody would be doing all of this suppression. The truth of the matter is this. We have to make sure that we identify that there is Trumplicans and then there's still Republicans.
Right.
A great body of the traditional Republican Party, people who understand conservatism and they just disagree on policy, big government, little government, and things like that. Those people aren't with Donald Trump. They were initially called Never Trumpers, but now there are like 3 or 4 major Republican organizations. One of my favorites, the Lincoln Project.
Yeah.
They are informing real Republicans about why this is such a bad scenario that they have with Donald Trump and how this stands in direct opposition of everything that the party stood for. More so, the Republican Party used to be very much aligned, allegedly, with Christianity, even though I've seen more Republican candidates and sex scandals than the law should allow. But, evangelicals have now been exposed as somebody who basically did a deal with the devil for their own level of greed, access, and connection to the highest office in the land. And so this isn't a Republican Party. This is the cult of Donald Trump. These are the basement of his base. And it's only 30% of the country that supports that. And so we've got to overwhelm this upcoming election with people showing up, lottie-dottie, everybody of all age, all race, and all creed and culture, because the only way we can overcome this hatred and overcome the influence of Russia in this election is to dominate at the polls.
Absolutely. It can't be close. It needs to be, it needs to be the blue waves of all blue waves.
Absolutely. Because we're probably going to take over the Senate. We're going to probably even become even more dominant in the Congress. And so that will make it so that when Joe Biden's in office, he won't face the dilemmas that Barack Obama faced, where the 2 governing bodies blocked everything that he was trying to do, which he had to use a lot of executive orders to get things through because from day one in office, they said to him, we're going to block everything that you put up. And yet the man was still able to achieve health care, something that Joe Biden wants to expand. Oh, by the way, as it pertains to healthcare, Donald Trump has a case right now in court where he is trying to overturn healthcare, meaning that Americans fighting in a pandemic against coronavirus using Obamacare, millions of people could lose their health care, and 7 million people in particular who now have coronavirus as a pre-existing issue. If Donald Trump has his way, you will lose your health insurance. That type of stuff is why people have to show up. This is literally the most important election of our lifetime. It
truly is. And I know we said that in 2016, but now we've had 4 years to see what this man has done to be able to unravel some of those policies policies that have expanded healthcare and opportunity for so many. So to watch people kind of sit on the sidelines, I think, we got to mobilize the masses. So, because of that, I want to touch on this final thing. The Kanye West effect, I feel like had a lot of stumbling blocks right out of the gate, with him wanting to run, saying that he was going to run, not being able to get on the ballot in a lot of states. And now we see that, again, there is a lawyer, a firm out of Arizona that was really behind that, kind of funneling that campaign. Do you think that people of color, Black men, people that are influenced by Kanye are going to take him seriously on the ballot this year?
No, with all due respect to people with mental challenges, anybody who's taking Kanye West seriously in this election really should go schedule an appointment with a therapist, because there's a mental disconnect there. Here's the thing. Kanye West is a rapper, admittedly off his meds, in a severe bipolar manic episode. His wife has fully disclosed that to the public. Right. And that person is being used by the racist in chief and the white nationalists that he has put in his administration to try to sway this election. Now, lucky for us, he has been thrown off the ballot in most of the states where he has spent millions upon millions of dollars in an effort to assist a racist administration against the people who helped make him a success. So in addition to, should we not be discussing him in the context of a political campaign, all those people who are out here spending money and buying Yeezys should really reconsider where they're spending their money, because every time you purchase a pair of Yeezys, you're financing a man who really does not care about the Black community and the struggles we face. Kanye West once stood on TV after Hurricane Katrina and said George Bush doesn't care about Black people. Right. I'm here to tell you that Kanye West doesn't care about Black people, and Black people should stop caring about him.
Absolutely. I second that. Listen, Jawn Murray, I could chop it up with you for hours, but I gotta wrap. I gotta run. Where can people stay connected with you if they want to be engaged and get more details on voting and really just see everything you have going on?
Listen, keep up with me at all things Jawn Murray on social media. It's my full name, JAWN. You see it there in the Chiron. Murray, MURAY. And then on Facebook, it's Jawn Murray World. But I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, and I'm on Facebook. We can connect there. Lots of great content, lots of cool things. And I have some stuff coming down the pike soon that you want to keep up with. So
awesome. Thank you, John. I will definitely check in with you very soon, and we'll be in touch.
All right, talk soon.
I'll see you at the polls, because I'm going to vote. I'm early voting in person.
I love it. All right.
See you soon, John.